Hi, and thanks for watching this Finance with Excel video. In this video, the fifth video in the personal income tax series, we're going to be discussing and incorporating into our workbook the Childcare Tax Credit. This tax credit helps defray the cost to working families of childcare. In order to qualify for this, you either have to be filing as a head of household, or if you're filing married joint, both spouses have to be reporting income. Now, to qualify this, so the first thing that I need to do is on this very first tab, what we're going to do is we're going to do the inputs. And the inputs we need to know if both spouses have income. Now, to do that, I just created a drop-down box right here. Now, the way I create a drop-down box is I create a list of items that I want to be included. So this will say select yes, no, or not applicable. And then you put, so then I just highlight the cell that I want this drop-down box to go. I go to data validation, and then I say I want to allow a list. It says, well, where do I want this list to be? I select where the list is, and then I click OK. And now if we come here, it will tell us we will then select the most appropriate response for our given situation. So suppose this is we are married joint in this hypothetical situation, and both spouses have income. So then let's say, what is our child care expense? I'm just going to put $5,000 in here, and this is all we need to know in order to compute our child care tax credit. So now if we go to our Child Care Tax Credit tab, we have all the information we need. So we need to pull in our income from sheet 1, which is our taxable income. We need to put our filing type from sheet 1. And this is going to be that. We need our dependents under 17, which is going to be from our first tab. We need our response to if married joint, do both have income, and I need that right there, and then our child care expenses, and then that's from right there. Now, I'm going to go back here just for illustration purposes, and I'm going to change this to $65,000 just for illustration purposes. So the way the child care tax credit works is you are allowed to claim up to a certain threshold of expenses as child care expenses. And if you have one child, that threshold is $3,000. If you have two or more children, that threshold is $6,000. So if you're married joint with two children and you're reporting $5,000 in expenses, you'll be able to claim all $5,000 of that. If you have more than $6,000, you would only be able to claim up to $6,000. Now, the way it works is if your income is below $15,000, you can claim 35% of your expenses, or you get 35% of your expenses back as a child care tax credit. Now this tapers off, and you lose 1% of this 35% for every $2,000 of income beyond the threshold, up until you get to the point where your income, or up until you get to the point where it's 20%, and then at that point you get at least 20% of your child care expenses, of your claimable child care expenses beyond that. So what we need to do is we need to calculate, first off, what percent of our child care expenses can we claim. And so what we say is if our income is less than our income threshold, then we get to claim the full 35%. If not, well, then we need to figure out how many $2,000 units beyond the threshold you are, and compute what your income is going to be. So it's going to end up being, but if it's beyond, so like if let's say your income is like $10 million, you're going to be way more than 35 $2,000 units beyond, and so your income would be below, or this max credit number would be below the $20,000. So what we need is we need the max of 20%. And so now we need to calculate the what the taper was going to be. It's going to be 35% minus our income, or actually minus. So we're going to use a floor function because we just want to know the number of units beyond the income threshold that we are. So it's going to be our income minus our income threshold divided by $2,000. And then we want to round it down to the nearest one, and that'll give us the number of units beyond the number of $2,000 units beyond $15,000 that our income is, and then we multiply that by our taper rate. So that will compute. So it'll take 35%, and then it'll subtract the number of units beyond 2,000 that we are, multiplied by 1%. And then there we go. And then that will give us, so this, in this case, it would be 20%, because 65 is approximately 30-ish units. $65,000 is 30 units beyond, it's 25 units beyond, 25 $2,000 units beyond the threshold, and so you would lose 25%. Well, 25% minus 35% is 10%, which is below 20%, so it's going to return 20%. Now, our allowed expense is, so we're going to say if dependents under 17 equals 0, then obviously it's going to be 0. If not, then we're going to ask the question, if dependents under 17 equals 1, then the allowed expense is going to be the min of whatever our child care expenses are and the maximum allowed for one child. If not, the only other case is you have 2 or more children, then it's going to be the min of our child care expenses and the maximum allowed child care expense. So we close all those, and so then in this case, you get to claim all 5,000 of it. So your tax credit is going to equal 20% of $5,000. So in this case, it would be $1,000. So now we just need to take this number, we need to come back to our sheet 1, and we need to say your child care tax credit, given all of these inputs, is going to end up equaling $1,000. And now if we change to this, so let's say we changed our income to be $15,000, then our child care tax credit would increase to $1,750. Now the reason why that is because you get to claim the full 35% of your $5,000, which is $1,750. So thanks for watching.